Boom shakalaka, a historic amount of stablecoins have been moved onto centralized exchanges in the last 24 hours. What this means for Bitcoin and altcoins. Stay tuned. What's up everyone, Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, we're talking about a historic amount of stablecoins being moved onto centralized exchanges in the last 24 hours. Last time something like this even came close was back in March at the top of the market. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? We're going to take a look at both scenarios. Before we do, guys, head on over to Twitter. Come join us there at the Crypto Love, where every week we give away one of these sweet shirts. Also, like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Now, like I said, historic amount of stablecoins. This green bar moved onto centralized exchanges, particularly Binance, in the past 24 hours. If we take a look at this graph here, the last time something like this happened was about March. Now, if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart right here, back in the end of March was pretty much the top of the market. Potentially, these stable coins being moved onto markets were shorting Bitcoin out there. This could have been the wick-off top that we had there, and potentially large manipulation causing the price to go down. As we can see there, this is the same thing back in March. We can see large inflows into the market, and particularly right after that happened, the price tanked. Now, could we potentially see the same thing happen again and the price tanking? Well, that's certainly a possibility. As far as I see it, there's kind of two scenarios, one here and one here, which I'm going to take a look at shortly. But before we do, right now we kind of have to see the general scope of what's going on in the markets. As of right now, institutions publishing documents saying, hey, no appetite for Bitcoin at these levels. It's just not going to happen. So JP Morgan does not expect a bull run for Bitcoin over the medium term based on the Bitcoin to gold volatility ratio. In a note sent to investors on Wednesday, JP Morgan detailed its reasoning to see the fair value of Bitcoin between $23,000 and $35,000 over the medium term. The banking giant previously pictured a $140,000 roadmap if the biggest cryptocurrency matches gold's allocation and volatility profile. So when Bitcoin was being eaten up, when the price was getting towards all-time highs, they said, hey, $140,000. Now the price has come back down. They're saying, oh, maybe $23,000 to $35,000. So they've completely reversed themselves. Not only that, but Guggenheim's Scott Minard says Bitcoin could sink to $15,000 now that we have a 15% pullback. Meanwhile, back in February, and we should note that back in February, the price of Bitcoin was, say like $50,000. He was saying it's going to be $600,000. He has completely reversed himself. He is very, very fearful in terms of the price. Not only that, but Susie Orman saying that Bitcoin price could drop to $12,000. But she goes on to say, I won't sell no matter what. Now, all of this happening, all these institutions saying, hey, the price could go lower. And maybe they're saying this because we have a head and shoulders pattern here. Maybe they're saying this because we've lost some steam. Maybe they're saying that for whatever reason they could be saying it. But the overall narrative from institutions has changed. Definitely has changed. Even at a discount, they're not willing to buy it right now. Susie Orman goes on to say, she says, I now own $5,000 of Bitcoin and I do it through PayPal because it was easy, but I'm a little concerned about Bitcoin right now because I'm afraid of what's happening in China and what they're doing with cryptocurrency and what they're going to allow or not. I'm concerned that the US is going to get involved regulating it. Even with all that said, I'm still a fan of Bitcoin. I think it's absolutely possible it could go down from whatever it is now to about $12,000 to $15,000. If you're going to buy Bitcoin, you buy it and keep it now for a long term. I just don't see Bitcoin as you buy it and then it goes up and you sell it, as it might continue to go up and then you missed out on it. I don't plan to sell even a little amount of mine no matter what. Now, do I really care what Susie Orman says about Bitcoin? No, because in 2017 she was saying she was like a Warren Buffett fan. She was like, ugh, I'm not even getting close to that stuff. Now she wants in because every other large institutional player wants in. And they want in at prices even lower than where it is. So it brings me back to what is potentially going on with this giant amount of stablecoins moving on to exchanges. Well, in my point of view, there's kind of two things that this means, okay? One is they're either going to be buying up as much Bitcoin as they can because they basically shorted it here, they made a ton of money on it, and then now they're going to put all that money back into Bitcoin for the price to go up, or they're going to short it again. So let's take a look at these two scenarios. So first scenario here is let's see, a little bit here. Okay, first scenario is the one that goes down and then up. This is, we have another kind of what's it called, black swan event like we had back here in March, where large sell-off and then the price recovers. So this is what Willy Woo and others think is happening with the price, where we have a large sell-off. Okay, here it went down to 25, but it went down to 30. So from the top to 25, and then we're going to ride back up. We're going to have new highs probably by the middle of July, and then towards October we'll be pushing $75,000, and then towards the end of the year we'll have a roughly $85,000 Bitcoin to potentially go on up even further from there. So that's one potential scenario, the black swan scenario, if we had that with the sell-off and we have that again. Now, that's the bullish scenario, and I would love that to happen, but there's another potential scenario. You see, right now, everybody thinks that $30,000 is a hard bottom, myself included. I think that, yeah, $30,000 is a potentially hard bottom. Well, for those of you who have been around long enough, we once thought that $6,500 was a hard bottom for Bitcoin, and then it wasn't. That's what happened here in this one, where it bounces, comes along, and then all of a sudden 6,500 bottom drops out to 3,000. So that's another possibility in terms of what could be happening. And if we have that happening, it'll kind of keep bouncing off $30,000, and the more times it bounces off there, the more people will say, hey, you know what, $30,000 is a solid bottom, and then all of a sudden it won't, and it'll break through, and it turns out that all this money was just going to short Bitcoin, and the price could go down to, say like $15,000, right around where Susie Orman and this Guggenheim guy are predicting. Potentially, they're even the ones shorting it, possibly. So, is that bad for Bitcoin? No, not necessarily, because other people have different predictions. Alex Mashinsky, the CEO of Celsius, he thinks that Bitcoin will go all the way to $160,000 this year. He says that we haven't seen the highs for 2021 yet. He goes on to talk about Elon Musk saying, hey, if the richest guy in the world is willing to exchange Bitcoin for Tesla, you have to ask yourself who's getting the better deal. The minute you buy the Tesla, it's worth less than what you paid for it, but Bitcoin is going to continue to increase in value. So that transaction is good for Elon, but not good for you. Elon's just a tourist in crypto. Let's get him out of crypto. Who cares about Elon? And who cares that he doesn't accept Bitcoin for Tesla? Because in the end, fixed supply of Bitcoin, it's a monetary instrument that you can send anywhere in the world almost instantaneously. Whereas infinite money, therefore, based on simple mathematics, the price of Bitcoin has to go to infinity. So, two scenarios for Bitcoin. Potentially, we could see a recovery in the next few months. Potentially, we might even see the bottom drop out for Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin did that, that would be first time that it's ever gone below a previous all-time high. So, very interesting times for Bitcoin. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll catch you later. Peace.